Are kindness and compassion the most important things? This noblewoman answers, no, it's discipline, and that for commoners who fail to uphold such discipline, Alicia Williams would never accept. Alicia was the villainess in this girl's favorite otome game. She's an evil girl who torments the heroine, but this girl admired her fortitude and sympathized with her ruthless verbal abuse. She just couldn't bring herself to like the heroine after all. The Magic Academy is for nobles only, but they made an exception for her, even though she's a commoner. She's a goody two-shoes who's always spouting lip service. She uses her innocent, angelic smile to toy with the prince's emotions. This girl's friends all say they'd want to be the heroine, so everyone would love them. But personally, if she were reborn, she'd much rather be the villainess. And waking up, she now just remembered having those thoughts. Right now, she's the 7-year-old Alicia, the eldest daughter of the high-ranking Williams family. Her kind brothers are the conquerable routes in the game. Up until yesterday, she didn't even question it. But this is definitely the world of that game. Her eyes sparkled, realizing she's reincarnated as the villainess. She couldn't pass up on this opportunity. She wanted to work hard to become the greatest villainess who goes down in history. And man, my channel will be history if you don't like this video and subscribe. Okay, maybe I'm being dramatic, but here at my Shoujo Weekly, I've got plenty of villainous stories to share with you. You'll find romance, you'll find drama, you'll find the most charming of princes. I also stream on a weekly basis, where we talk about anime and explore interesting games with you. So please, hit that subscribe, or I might die. No isekai. Alicia ran down the halls past her mother and her maid with a lot of vigor. They were certainly surprised to see her up so early. But Alicia was saying farewell to the undisciplined child she's been these last 7 years. She can't waste time if she wants to be a villainess who goes down in history. The first step was learning the art of the sword from her brothers. They were just as surprised to see her awake this morning, and even more that she was asking for sword training. She told them she wanted to get stronger, but they didn't believe her. The stern brother, Henry, claimed her request was merely a whim, just like everything else she asked for. The playful brother, Alan, scoffed that this was her usual behavior. However, the kind, sweet brother, Albert, promised to teach her on the condition that she build up the strength to wield a sword. She needed to do 100 sit-ups and 50 push-ups per day. If she did that for a week, he promised to teach her, although the brothers were doubtful she could handle it. She told them not to make light of her, running off looking forward to next week. Her plan was to study magic right now, and do strength training in the evening before bed. In this world, only nobles possess the mana that enables the use of magic. There are several attributes, with the most basic being dark, fire, light, wind, and water. The nobles who excel in these top 5 attributes are known as the 5 great noble families. They serve the king directly and function as the pillars of the kingdom. The Williams family, which excels in dark magic, is one of them. But even if she was blessed with natural talent, she knew she couldn't master any magic without training. She scrambled all around the library, disappointed to not find even a single book on magic. She decided to start with a book on plants, since she needed to broaden her knowledge with more than just magic anyways. She learned of herbs that brought down fevers, flowers that glow, and flying trees. But oh man, she was so engrossed in her readings that didn't exist in her previous world, she lost track of time. She was content, hardly believing she read all of these in one day. It seems Alicia's body had a natural talent in academics. However, as she barely stretched over 50 push-ups, shaking all the way, she would learn this same body was physically untalented. She'd continue to push though for the sake of her ambition. After resting, she'd find that the next day she could accomplish the push-ups and sit-ups with no problem. Her next plan was breakfast, then back to the library. She read at a breakneck pace, pushed her sit-ups to now 200, push-ups to now 300. So after 7 days of reading and training, she made a phenomenal amount of progress. Now able to do 500 sit-ups and 300 push-ups. Surely her big brother Albert should have no reason to complain. However, seeing Alicia's pleasant mood shocked all the men in her family. Her father, Arnold, asked what's come over her lately, especially since she's been waking up early. She smiled, assuring him nothing's come over her. She knew she was definitely giving off the vibe that she's plotting something, and so joyous over the fact she was like a real villain. Well, it's not like they'd believe her if she told them she recalled living a previous life. The mother then brought up how Albert was going to be out today. Turns out Paul would be taking the boys on a tour of the Magic Academy because 3 years from now, Albert would be 15 and enrolling, which also meant Alicia's sword training would have to wait until he came home. Finishing her reading, the bell rang for the time her brothers should have returned. Scurrying to find them, she noticed they were hanging out with all the conquerable routes in the game. There was the red-haired Eric of the Hudson family that specialized in fire magic, Finn of the Smith family, which held particular talent in light magic, Gale of the Evans family, which possessed mastery in wind magic, Curtis of the Kenwood family, who could use green magic. He wasn't from any of the 5 great noble families. And most important, the king's only son, Prince Duke Seeker. He uses water magic and ends up with the heroine in the game's good ending, and was also the one Alicia was most into. But she was going to leave the romance to the heroine. She needed an early start at making an impression as a villainess. When she ran up, Albert greeted her, then introduced her to his friends, who all thought she was so cute. Her heart was melting internally from their above-average looks. But this was a crucial moment. The world's greatest villainess can't be seen as a child with no manners, so she gracefully curtsied to introduce herself. The boys were impressed as she wasn't quite like the brothers had made her seem. They felt she was really well put together. Duke was not so captivated though, simply turning to the Williams brothers, who said they would show off their sword skills. That's when Alicia reminded them they promised to teach her starting today. She assured them she kept her strength training promise, and Albert said, all right, but you could tell none of them believed her. He took a sparring position with Alan, making Alicia pout. She quickly grabbed Albert's sword, kicked the tree to force a fruit to drop, and then easily sliced it in half, now telling her brothers to not make light of her. This actually got Duke's attention, and with Albert now accepting her seriousness, she was sparkling with gratefulness, and then ran off to go change. Duke then picked up the split apple to observe it, and smiled. A year after her brothers started teaching her how to use a sword, she's still just doing practice swings every day. The brothers told her training is useless if she couldn't hold a sword for several hours at a time. If she wasn't trying to become the world's greatest villainess, she'd be sick of this by now. And over the past year, Prince Duke has been visiting their house frequently. She wasn't sure why, but enjoyed seeing her eye candy around all the time. With her approaching, the prince asked if she was done for the day, learning she was just on a break. This was the first time he's spoken to her. He then asked why she worked so hard to learn swordsmanship, to which she almost answered to become a villainess, but stopped herself to say she wanted a villainously powerful grip. He laughed nervously, responding he'd look forward to it. Then patting her head, she became flustered. Albert then came by, making Duke pull away and apologize for interrupting Alicia's training. With her heading back, Albert questioned the prince on why he'd been coming so frequently. He thought it was for books at first, but now wonders if Duke had taken interest in his little sister, who was totally enamored with him. Elsewhere, King Luke was meeting with the rest of the leaders of the 5 great noble families. The village of Loana was apparently suffering from degraded living conditions year after year, but if they sent aid too hastily, the people would be displeased. They thought to turn their efforts away from it and instead focus on finding the Golden Rose, since their kingdom needed hope. Taking a break, all of the fathers discussed how their boys wanted to invite Alicia over to their houses, citing her polite demeanor. Arnold told them she used to be much more selfish. About a year ago, she suddenly started spending much of her time in the library. He couldn't wrap his head around why. Alicia found herself arriving from an invite to Finn's estate, heading out to the guest room with Finn for tea. Her brothers were alerted the king would be visiting here today. Inside the guest room sat the rest of the conquerable cast. She wondered what they were doing here. Moving inside, she noticed a map. At the end of the game, Alicia was exiled to a foreign country. Could it be that they were already approaching that ending? She felt things were moving faster than they were supposed to. Then, King Luke made his entrance and everyone gave their respectful bows. With Alicia displaying her usual curtsy, the king had her raise her head because he came to speak with her specifically. Much to her surprise, he quickly got to the point, asking how she felt about the position their kingdom of Dirkus was in. She was distraught, not understanding the point of his question. Why talk politics with an 8-year-old? But just as quick, she understood this must be a villainous test. She felt God has set this task to determine if she could be a great villainess. So, she expressed that while the kingdom of Dirkus is a major power, she could not call it a good nation. This shocked everyone in the room. She elaborated that while they may have a strong economy, the majority of the money lied with the nobility, creating a serious wealth gap. In Loana, a village on the outskirts, life is so difficult that many don't know if they can afford bread for tomorrow. Discontent toward the nobility grows ever greater. An uprising could break out at any time. The king then asked how Alicia would fix their economic strength. Her response was to take advantage of their neighbor, Calvera, and its gold mines. The king questioned this, since Calvera was ruled by Laval, another major power, making Alicia further detail they shouldn't go to war, but instead fund Calvera's independence. Their kingdom should maintain their relationship on the surface while trading with Calvera, and make them owe Durkis a debt. Once Calvera gains independence, they would have advantage in trading with them. Using others in order to make a profit is something Alicia knew that Goody Two-Shoes heroine would never do. If she kept this up, she'd come into conflict with the heroine eventually. She felt totally on track to being the greatest villainess ever. The king praised Alicia's thought process and took off, leaving her to breathe a deep sigh of relief. Duke asked if she was nervous, and seeing him up close, she thought he really was quite attractive. In the halls, Lord Evans brought up that the golden rose had been found. Now things were getting serious. Being met with a table full of desserts, Alicia was eager to eat. She gratefully accepted, stacking her plate full of macarons. And munching along, Duke couldn't stop staring at her while smiling. Curtis remarked they used to call him the Ice Prince, but now it seems an unexpected spring breeze had smitten him. At sunset, Duke presented Alicia a gift. He knew it was a bit late, but this was a birthday present for her. Opening it, she was blown away seeing the diamond necklace. After Duke left, she was still sweating because diamonds were far more valuable here than back in her old world. She couldn't comprehend why he'd possibly give her this. Back in the king's meeting room, they watched the golden rose bloom. Its owner, a baker in the castle town. When the baker's only daughter was born, this unusual rose bloomed, so he kept it. The 5 great nobles now knew this girl was the saint. This girl would join the kingdom's ruler to guide the people to peace and save the world. When one who will control the kingdom's fate is born, a special rose blooms. This was proven when the blue rose bloomed for Duke. With the 2 of them leading the way, the kingdom was certain to flourish. However, the king knew such a transformation always came at a price, and the bigger the transformation meant troubled times certainly awaited them with destruction and war. The legend of the saint spoke of this to occur when the saint united with a member of the royal family. They all had no choice but to accept this fate. In Alicia's room, though, she was working on her squats while wearing her diamond necklace. Even if Duke falls for the heroine one day and demands its return, she would never give it back. She was going to look him dead in the eye and refuse, like a true villainess. Wow, what a great start to the series. I'm curious about how the first meeting with the heroine will go, along with what this future destruction might be. Subscribe for next week's episode. Also, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.